Call to order the meeting of the Lewisburg Area Board of School Directors. You could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks everyone for joining us this evening. Two quick announcements. We are missing two of our board members this evening. They're excused from the meeting. John Rowe and Mary Ann Stanton both had previous obligations. The board also met in executive session for approximately 30 minutes prior to this evening's meeting to discuss a revised personnel report and also a personnel matter. Those are all my announcements. We'll move on to citizens' comments to the board on agenda items. John, do we have any?
We'll take a look. No, we do not currently have any online comments. For those of you watching at home, if you would like to make a comment to the school board, please visit our website at www.lasd.us. Scroll down and click on the board meeting notice and click on the survey link to fill out your name, your address, and your comment to be read later on in the board meeting. Back to you, Mr. Feather.
Thanks, John. Anybody here in the room? Any comments on agenda items? All right, hearing none. We'll move on to board representatives' comments. And Stephanie, I'm going to start with you tonight.
Oh, wow. We're changing tables here. I was so prepared to go fast. Okay.
That's what keeps you on.
I know it does keep me on toes. Thank you.
You got to be ready for me.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm so happy the sun came out today. And I'm not going to sing Annie for you all. But with the last 2 days, we have been rescheduling and canceling events and postponing. So I am thankful for sunshine and a weather forecast that says sunshine for the rest of the week. So we do not have to postpone. We are working with our coaches and officials and at the high school administration to get those on the board. So if you haven't come out to see an event, October is going to be jammed packed because we're going to make up all of those games in October. Taking a look at special education, we're really taking the time to work collectively as a district with administration and teachers to look at our program and to really kind of look where we can provide a continuum of service. And so it's been our focus. We're providing teachers the opportunity to meet between buildings to talk about transition, what they're doing, and getting those students the services they need. Next week, we have a few teachers from Lynntown going through some professional development to take a deeper dive into a new reading program that we started last year at Kelly called Apple OG. So we're going to be supporting them and delivering what they need for the students. And then we had an opportunity that was addressed last night in a late phone call to address our students' social emotional needs. We have the opportunity to partner with local agency with a grant matching opportunity to provide resources for our calming rooms. And so we have that at Cali Elementary, but we're really starting to establish those at Lynntown, the middle school, and then hopefully maybe at the high school as well. But we have the opportunity, to work, to provide resources, to provide calming techniques to help students who are in trauma. And it's not just our special education students, it's also, we recognize even through the pandemic, we have students with social emotional needs that really need a space to just kind of take a moment, take a deep breath, and to provide those supports. So we're really thankful for the agencies that we're partnering with to provide those resources for our students. Okay, cool.
Thank you.
All right. First up, I would like to congratulate Ryan Gilmore, Ryan Shabahang, and Sophia Zhu. They are 3 seniors who are moving forward in the National Merit Scholarship Program. So they are officially National Merit semifinalists, and I can officially announce it without the big threat that comes in the letter. Do not announce it ahead of time. So congratulations to those 3 students. Our guidance department has been working with Bucknell, and they're pleased that they're able to offer college night again this year. So I know that we certainly are seeing more college reps come in here to the building, but that will be, I believe it's the 14th of October, but I'll be putting that out. And that's held at Bucknell. And, you know, I just am expecting a wide turnout from both the colleges and universities, but also from students, especially since, you know, that opportunity was lost last year to be able to do that. I know that that is something that they're excited to get back on their plate. Just a quick little athletic shout out to our golf team who won the hack title and wrapped that up. And the last time the boys took the divisional title, that group, this group that are the seniors now, that was the year that most of them were born. So they were very happy to win that. And then, you know, it's been, you know, a very sad week in our community, and we've suffered a loss that I know that many of you are aware of in the community that also impacted, you know, students here, siblings of former students, faculty, staff. But I had an opportunity yesterday to see many of our graduates. And while it was very unfortunate, the circumstances that brought them together, to see so many students there supporting each other, supporting their friends. But in particular, I had a conversation, two separate conversations. So neither heard what the other one had said, and just took a point. You know, first they were asking just how the high school was, and then, you know, both students made reference and comment to the district and the high school, and the high school staff and faculty, no matter what their roles were, about the culture and the connectedness. And I know we always sit and talk about the relationships that we seek to build. But it was, you know, to hear them talk, you know, these are kids, you know, that are sophomores or juniors or seniors, but like, you know, I took it for granted that every place was like this. But when I'm talking to, you know, my friends from others, you know, my roommates that went to other schools, or my friends that went to this, you know, they didn't have this type of experience. And I, you know, like, you know, we kind of took it for granted at the time. And I think that just, I think that really resonated with me, of how much that even if they don't sometimes recognize it when they're here, that when you have people seeking you out, to be like, you know, I didn't realize, I knew staff and faculty and principals and everybody cared, but I didn't realize quite how special it was. That wasn't the norm to the degree. So again, very tragic circumstances that brought us together, but very grateful to be able to see so many students and also how they were supporting each other.
Thanks, Paul.
Student council is off and running with planning homecoming, so that is nice to see those events and festivities being planned out through student council. It's kind of that, you know, feeling of normalcy back to the building with themes for homecoming week and those types of things. So I saw flyers posted for those. I certainly think I'll be able to maybe successfully do one of them. Dressed like a teacher, I think I'll be able to pull that one off. So that will be pretty nice. So I think they're pretty excited about it. I think students are just excited for those extra types of activities that are starting up again within the school to bring that normalcy back that we haven't had in a little while. Today, Jostens was in to meet with sophomore class to discuss class rings. So they were there talking about different types of class rings. They were also talking about their online platforms and the kind of ease that there is with ordering. In addition to class rings, there's also caps and gowns for seniors and parents. that is coming up here today to get the best price. So that's just a little reminder to seniors. And then lastly, Jared Curry, one of our social workers, he has a bike find. So he works with the police department, and they basically have all these leftover bikes and they don't really know what to do with them. So Mr. Curry has been working through basically getting some of those bikes. He refurbishes them, and then through refurbishing some of those bikes, he gives them to any students that are in need. So it's a nice little thing that he's doing for some of our students here at the school as well.
Thank you. One of the themes that Ms. Reber and Mr. Popo were talking about is the beginning of things. And it is easy to forget that our kids, my 8th graders, haven't experienced a lot of the things that they're experiencing now for the first time. Things are starting up. So one of the things that happened, we had a dance on Friday night. Thank you, Mr. Jablonski, for being there. And thank you, Abby, for being there. It was an experience. We had about 200 kids there, a lot of it out of curiosity to see what might it be like, because so many of them, all 6th and 7th graders, never had one before. It wasn't your typical dance, and we'll work on making it a different experience than this first one, but it's a good place to start off at. But the kids were great. They were very energetic. We had more than enough chaperones, which was excellent. I thank the PSA for that. And Mr. Morgan and Mr. Sakuri, our student council advisors, worked with the kids in student council to set up a plan that that kids would feel comfortable at, and that the kids would be entertained for the whole 2 hours they were there. And I would say that that part worked out very well. Our DASH program is starting up, and this is another one of those things that our 8th graders really haven't experienced. This is our after-school homework help. We're trying to work on it at a time when we're short on bus drivers, so we have fewer seats on elementary buses to get kids home. But these kids, these 8th graders are taking advantage. They're finding their rides with their parents, where a lot of times they would have relied on the buses to get them home. And it's encouraging to see how hard they're working, even though it's right at the very beginning of it, and their interest in it will wane as the year comes on, but it's a good start. Mrs. Tidy is starting up the Dynamic Dragons. It's a before school singing group that kids want to volunteer for. It's not part of the regular chorus. And they didn't do that last year. So here's another new experience for the kids. And another one that is just starting up that is like part of the fabric of the middle school in Lynntown, the listening post will be starting up again for the first time in over a year next week. So we're looking forward to getting our kids in with the near peers and getting that quiet place for them to have lunch and to process with each other and to work out social awkwardness and things like that middle schoolers do. But there's a little niche that they provide, the listening post does, that's really well received by the kids that take advantage of it. And they are always fully booked every single day at the middle school. So we're grateful that they're able to start that up again next week. Mr. Wetzel.
Thank you. One of the things is I just listened to everybody talking and reviewing kind of what I wanted to share. I think one thing that really stands out is just the open dialogue and collaboration that's been taking place. Like Stephanie said, we really are just examining how we do things, and then having that open dialogue and really throwing ideas and thoughts out there to make sure we're doing things that are best for the kids and the best way we can provide services and supports for kids. So I really appreciate that approach and just having those conversations to not rule something out and to not be afraid to just throw new ideas out there and see where it goes. Across the board, in many ways, we're having those conversations. We've had myself and Mr. Rule, and then myself at different times, and I'm sure him on his own, had open dialogues with Roar Bus Transportation on many things, but it's really been refreshing to hear. They want to be involved in service projects we're doing at school to promote those with kids, to be involved. So they're checking out and seeing things we're posting on Facebook and asking for us to keep them in the loop so they can talk to kids and build those relationships with kids about things that we're doing in school. Brainstorming ways that we can work together to support the drivers in their large task of transporting kids after a long day of school when the energy's high and they're excited to talk to their friends, but to keep it at a reasonable level. And working with them on their approach because they would like to really be able to work on that on their own and not just look to school employees to say, you know, come to us and talk to the kids for us. So we're working on different systems and ways we can support each other with that, and they're catering it to each building. So it's been great to have those conversations and that dialogue with them. Also with PSA, with the support we've gotten, just really in anything we need, reach out to PSA and we're getting supported with that, whether it's extra help in the schools, school supplies for some students that weren't able to get them for themselves on their own, extra agendas that we needed. I feel like it's, you know, you ask and it's provided for and it's there. So that's been awesome to have that relationship and partnership as well. Our counselors have been working and communicating on different ways to support students. And I know something I'm going to share, and I'm sure Mr. Rule will too, for what they're doing at Kelly. Next week, we're doing a Start with Hello week, which is part of the Sandy Hook Promise. And really, it's providing a focus on empathy and inclusion, empowering students to end social isolation, and really getting that message out there at a young age and doing different activities to promote that. So we have a themed week next week where every week is a different day, a different theme and a different message that goes along with it. And that's been great to see them working together across buildings and putting their collective minds together to come up with ideas, just to do new things and to promote just being good all around people for our students. Dragon Dash happened and it was good to see a lot of people there. I think the outside at the track is a great place for it. The weather cooperated, it kept us on our toes, kind of tracking the percentage throughout the week. But whatever Kristen did, it worked. The percentage went down and we made it. And I think having the track there is just an awesome venue for the kids, for the families. It's a huge space. You're not standing shoulder to shoulder, like tippy-toeing, looking over people in the gym, trying to get a glimpse of your child or children's friends. So that was a huge success. The kids had a blast with it. It was the second year of getting t-shirts for the kids. And that's a huge success too. The kids love that. So they all get those shirts the day of, which is just an awesome thing. And I've seen kids wearing them pretty consistently since then. Luckily alternating, I think, last year and this year, so it's not the same shirt. But they love having that shirt and wearing the same shirt as their friends. So that's an awesome thing. And the last thing I have is we have next week, we have the Fall Book Fair at Lynntown, which is another thing supported by the PSA. They set up the volunteers for that and the schedule with the teachers. And we have open house at Lynntown next Wednesday, and that will be 6:30 to 7:30, and the book fair will be open during that time. So it also gives families a time to shop when they're there for open house. So just a lot of good things going on, a lot of fun things to really just keep building that community and the relationships that we want with our schools. Mr. Rule.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Eric did reference the Dragon Dash, and again, great experience for our kids. I think one of my favorite images and memories, and it's posted on our Facebook page, a little kindergarten student was so excited to participate in the Dragon Dash that she would not let her arm in a total cast keep her from running in the Dragon Dash. But that's not the best part. The best part is carrying the little horsey with her as she's running. But that's not even the total best part. The last 2 minutes, when she heard the warning, she goes and takes the horsey and snuggles it up inside of her cast so she can run even faster. So they were bound and determined to run and do a great job. Thanks to the PSA and all the volunteers, appreciative to all the parents that came out, but also Mr. Campbell and Miss Christini that every year train the kids and get them ready and teach them how to pace themselves, and some do a better job than others. But and then they are out there running throughout the entire event as well with kids, which is just great, absolutely wonderful. I think that the PSA raised a little over $38,000. So that's wonderful and will go to good use to support our students, our programs, and our teachers. We also got some nice surprises from Wise Markets. The Milton Wise Market reached out to me, and they had a $400 donation that they made through one of their schools programs. And I wasn't able to go over today, but the Wise Market here in Lewisburg also has a donation to make to us. I'm not entirely sure what that amount is yet, but they're as part of their grand reopening over there. So they reached out, and again, that's for Lynntown and Cali Elementary School. So we're working with our PSA to be able to utilize those funds as well. We also are going to be participating in Start With Hello. Our kickoff will be tomorrow because we've asked all the students and staff to wear green to start off the event. But you know, especially at the age that the students are at Kelly, I mean, they're already very inclusive in many ways, but when we have these conversations about helping others that are left out, and just when you go out on the playground and you see it multiply and you see the kids who are extra sort of paying attention, it just reminds you of a kinder, gentler age. And it's wonderful. And so they're very into hearing this and including others. And we hope to build a good foundation as you know they continue up through Lynntown and using programs like this even over Lynntown. And the last thing I'll share with you is this week we started our MTSS intervention supports. So Mrs. Lindsay Brown is the MTSS coach, and she's been working very closely with a number of staff members and gathering our data at the beginning of the year to benchmark where all of our students are and to take a look at their needs, and then to put them in groups around those needs. So it's not just randomly put together for second graders. It's really trying to look at specific reading needs that they have. And we had some challenges this week with short substitutes and those kinds of things. You know, I was a music teacher for a little bit yesterday. Fortunately, there was a student teacher to do that, to lead the classes. And some of our other teachers chipped in and helped so we could keep those MTSS groups going. When students are getting that intervention, the rest of the students are getting extension activities. I was able to get into a few first grade classrooms this week during extension time, and they were doing, you know, a number of nature related kinds of activities there within the classroom. Again, it's not to take the place of our regular curriculum, but to extend and enhance it. So that's gone very, very well as well. So thank you to Mrs. Brown, and thank you to all the other staff for helping get our MTSS intervention process started.
Thanks, everyone. We'll move on to tonight's select presentations. The first presentation is from the Green Dragon Foundation, and I would invite our guests to come up and join us at the podium.
For those of you who do not know me, I'm Bob Callan. I'm the chair of the Green Dragon Foundation Board of Directors, and also a past parent of a 2005 and a 2008 graduate who are gainfully employed and no longer on the payroll. So it's a good thing. We have been raising funds for the district since 2008 when we were founded. And I know we didn't get a chance to report to you last year at this time about the previous year, but give you a few highlights from fiscal 21, which ended June 30th. We provided $105,000 to the district, and I'll give you a couple of examples of where our donor support went. And then we also added another $31,000 to our endowments, which we created during our last campaign. We now have almost $1 million in endowment, and that generates a percentage of spendable income that goes to the district every year. So we're trying to raise money that we can spend here and now, and we're also trying to prepare for the future and create these permanent funds. So last year, just a sampler, and for those of you who are at our donor reception Sunday night, this is a bit of an instant replay, but this is just a small sample of what our donors provided last year. the UV printer for the STEM makerspace here at the high school. Tech lab robotics here at the high school. Paul is nodding. Gazebo and picnic tables at the high school. Tents at Cali and Lynntown for fresh air breaks for our students and maybe our teachers. COVID desk guards. I can't wait till we're not supporting that anymore. Link Crew program. The middle school virtual holiday concert. Middle school STEM kits. We also provided support for the food insecurity snack back program and photography services at graduation, along with a host of other things, but I won't read the whole list. So again, thanks to those of you in the room who are donors to the foundation and the hundreds of donors who gave last year. So going forward, this year and actually beyond, we will continue to raise funds for really across the board priorities as identified by the administration and approved by the school board. Two things in particular, two capital projects stand out that we've made some progress on, one a little further along than the other. I'd like to briefly tell you about that. We have two capital projects, both of which are for the high school campus. The first is a greenhouse, and that's about $109,000 project, and we've raised about $45,000 to date for that. Hopefully, knock on whatever for Micah, that we'd love to have that fundraising put to bed before next summer, and maybe we can get going on the greenhouse during the summer. It was really a multiple curricular approach to construction of the greenhouse, and I think it'll benefit not only our high school students, but I think our Kelly students can wander over and even take care of a few plants if appropriate. So that's underway. The second facility is long overdue. I think anybody who has been to a sporting event out on the fields knows that our current bathroom situation is less than desirable. We are in the process of raising money, and actually we've started just recently, had some conversations with prospective donors about a multi-purpose building. And as I said Sunday night, if somebody can come up with 200,000 plus, they can put a different name on it instead of multi-purpose building. But what will take place under that roof will be a concession stand, public restrooms, trainer's room, and storage for teams, as well as maintenance equipment. And there is an architect's rendering of what that would look like. It'll be positioned between the turf field and the left field pole on the Brandon Cram baseball field. So nice central location. That is about a $520,000 project. And we are, as I said, we are just getting started on that, having conversations with people. So we're excited about the year to come. We kind of got stalled out with COVID, and it was hard to make personal calls on people during a pandemic, but we are optimistic that people are re-energized for some of these projects, and that we will see success as we move forward. With that, I'd like to thank the board for their support, and if anybody has any questions, Jordan, I guess I'll entertain those.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Bob. And anything?
Can we have a photo op?
Yeah.
Ann almost blew away in the parking lot trying to carry this in, so.
And you will photo walk if we can. Usually we have some folks from the school board, us, Abby, any of our volunteers are welcome to stand for photo.
Can I?
I'll go up with you. All right.
sure you can flip
I was
flop.
gonna say, I like the flip-flops.
Anybody?
Your shower shoes.
Please get a full
Okay. You got the other part too.
All right, our next item under the presentations, the 2020-21 budget year end report. Dr. Fairchild.
Okay, yes, so it's come to the time where we look back on the past and take a look and see how we did financially speaking from our 2020-2021 fiscal year. So how did we do? Well, as I always say, not so fast. Our audit is still ongoing. I was emailing with our auditors earlier today. The numbers are not yet final. The data is as of a couple days ago, but numbers may change a little bit here before the audit is complete. So nothing's written in stone yet, but we do have a pretty decent picture of where we're at. So how did we do? Well, you can take a look and see here. Expenses, we were a little bit over. On revenue, we were a little bit better than expected. So let's dive deeper into those numbers here. First, the bad news. As I've mentioned multiple times, unfortunately, cyber charter costs this past year were a budget buster, taking well over $1 million in total and almost $750,000 more than what we had budgeted. Same thing for, to a lesser extent, to COVID supplies that we were purchasing. And then also we made a transfer of some of our ESSER money to help keep our food service fund afloat this year. So again, on the expense side, we had some overruns here. But on the revenue side, we do have a little bit of good news there. You can see our ESSER 1 and ESSER 2 funds came through that were not in budget, as well as some other CARES funding, and our PCCD grant funding. Our Plan Con came in a little bit above budget because they broke a log jam and they funded us some stuff that had been backlogged for a while. And our earned income tax collections were a little bit higher than expected. So on the whole, on the revenue side, things were a little bit better than what we had budgeted. So I think we'll call that a win. So what are we proposing? If we have a remainder, which it looks like we will at the end of the year, we'll bring that to you as the board for authorization at a future board meeting to make a transfer to capital reserve. One, to help out with our HVAC modernization project, and also to be prepared for any emergency capital repairs, acts of nature, roofs, boilers, etc. So again, we'll get you the final number here once the dust has settled, and we'll ask you to authorize that transfer to the capital projects fund. Some areas of budgetary concern that we look at every year. Healthcare costs, we were a little bit over, but pretty close. PZER's retirement, we were a little bit under, but also very close. Outside special education costs and outside tuition was a little bit over. And of course, charter schools, completely blew away the budget there. So those are the areas we like to keep an eye on. So that's our quick overview of 2021. Any questions?
Do we have any idea if the current year is going to have a similar revenue situation because of COVID allocations?
Probably we will have a little bit in terms of ESSER 3. Hopefully that will be coming through, but we're not looking at the multiple different pieces from the government. So it'll probably be a little tamer on the revenue side, and we've had quite a few charter school students come back. So hopefully it'll be a little tamer on the expense side as well.
Some of this stuff has a clock running on it, right? Even the ESSER 3 will as well.
Yes, I think ESSER 3, I think we have like 3 years to spend it, 3, possibly 4. So
okay.
we do have time, and I think we can definitely make use of it.
Thanks.
Yep. So, all right.
Thanks, John. And if you just want to keep going into the 2022-23 budget process timeline.
Absolutely. So moving from the past to the future, it's time to break open budget 2022-2023. You have in front of you the general fund budget calendar, very similar to previous budget calendars. We're kicking off here in September, and we'll get you the preliminary numbers here in November, December, and then continue our discussions and refinement until we ask you to approve the final budget in June, and we kick off the 2022-2023 school year. So there's that.
Any questions? All right, thanks, John.
Yep.
We'll move on to board action under old business. The first item is the 2021 bond resolution. Dr. Fairchild?
Yes, I would ask that the board approve the attached board resolution for the issuance of 2021 bonds to refinance our 2014 bonds at a lower interest rate and borrow some additional for our HVAC project.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Jablonski, seconded by Dr. Unsicker Fisero. Any questions or any discussion? Sorry. Hearing none, can I have a roll call vote, please, Paula?
Dr. Unsicker Fisero,
Yes.
Dr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mrs. Rouse,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark. Yes. Mr. Fetzer,
Yes.
Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Dr. Jablonski,
Yes.
motion carried.
The next item is the HVAC modernization for the building envelope. Dr. Fairchild or Mr. Gallegos, if you want to introduce that.
Yes, the administration, we recommend that approval of the 5 building envelope upgrades as proposed by McClure, so that any savings we accrue from improving our HVAC doesn't go floating out the windows and doors. So we would ask that you approve all 5 of the building envelope upgrades for a total cost of $48,421, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Jablonski, seconded by Dr. Zimmerman. Any discussion?
I'd point everyone to last week's, anyone who's listening, is that the savings well outdo the cost on this over 20 years.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. Can I have a roll call vote, please, Paula?
Dr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mrs. Rouse.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark. Yes. Mr. Fetzer,
Yes.
Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Dr. Jablonski.
Yes.
Dr. Unsicker Fisera,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right. Next item is the HVAC modernization at Cali Elementary.
Yes, the administration asked that you move ahead with the Kelly HVAC upgrades option 2A at this time for a total cost of $3,242,302.
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Jablonski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Zimmerman. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please, Paula.
Mrs. Rouse,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark. Yes. Mr. Fetzer,
Yes.
Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Dr. Jablonski,
Yes.
Dr. Unsicker Fisera,
Yes.
Dr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
motion carried.
Moving right along buildings, the Lynntown Intermediate. Dr. Fairchild, anything to add?
Yes, just we recommend moving ahead with option 3A for modernization of the Lynntown HVAC equipment.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Dr. Jablonski, second by Dr. Zimmerman. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please, Paula.
Mrs. Clark. Yes. Mr. Fetzer,
Yes.
Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Dr. Jablonski,
Yes.
Dr. Unsicker Fisera,
Yes.
Dr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mrs. Rouse,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right. Again, moving along to the middle school.
Yes, the administration recommends selection of option 4A to upgrade the middle school to hot water heating as opposed to electric at a cost of $3,936,825.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Dr. Jablonski, second by Mrs. Clark. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please, Paula.
Mr. Fetzer,
Yes.
Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Dr. Jablonski,
Yes.
Dr. Unsicker Fisera,
Yes.
Dr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mrs. Rouse,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark. Yes. Motion carried.
All right. And then the last item under old business, the HVAC modernization for the maintenance building.
Yes, the administration recommends that we upgrade the HVAC in the maintenance building for a cost of $11,766.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Jablonski, seconded by Dr. Zimmerman. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Dr. Jablonski,
Yes.
Dr. Unsicker Fisera,
Yes.
Dr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mrs. Rouse.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Fetzer.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And just one point of interest for anybody who's watching this or anybody here in the room that was not here at our last board meeting. It is on YouTube and the whole presentation is there as well. So for anybody who wants to go back and just kind of review that, I actually watched it because I was not here for that meeting. So that is available on YouTube under the school district YouTube channel. So very interesting. And as Dr. Jablonski pointed out, really lays out a lot of the costs and benefits to this. So
Can we take a pause to celebrate the fact that you're gonna have air conditioning next year? And after especially the beginning of this year and now all the, when it's warm and it rains a lot and you worry about things or you go to a thing like a dance on a really, really hot, humid Friday night. We were wishing for some air conditioning, I think.
On behalf of all staff and students, I think I can speak for everyone and say thank you.
all right, we'll move on to the board action under new business now. The first item is the policies for first reading. Dr. Pollenstock, Dr. Zimmerman, or Dr. Jablonski, anybody want to bring anything to anybody's attention?
The only thing I would just point out, our current policy 006 meetings actually included the process for public comment at a school board meeting, and PSBA has a recommended policy 903. So we just separated those out. But pretty much the process is still the same. It's just a technicality.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Browse, seconded by Dr. Jablonski. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Or all in favor, say aye. Sorry, voice vote. Throwing you guys off. Any opposed? Motion approved. The next item, the new curriculum materials for the 2021 school year. Mrs. Moser?
Thank you. Mrs. Lauren Peck, our teacher in the middle school gifted program, has been working with some new titles and some graphic novels that were brought forward earlier. She reached out to say she found another especially good one that she wanted to utilize this year. So I asked for approval to add it to our approved reading list.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Zimmerman, seconded by Dr. Jablonski. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please, Paula.
Okay. Dr. Jablonski,
Yes.
Dr. Unsicker Fisera,
Yes.
Dr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mrs. Rouse,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Fetzer,
Yes.
Mr. Heath.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, and then the last item under new business, the pre-K counts, the flexible instruction plan.
Yes, thank you. Our PreK Counts program that operates under the combination of PDE regulations and the Office of Child Development and Early Learning, known as OCDEL. The regulations through OCDEL require that we formally articulate a flexible instructional plan specific to, should there need to be remote learning, how we would deliver that to the young students in the pre-K program. You have the narrative that follows the template that is to be submitted. And so I simply ask that the board recognize and approve that we would indeed provide educational delivery of services to those students if we should be, for any reason, into a period of extended remote education.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Jablonski, seconded by Mrs. Clark. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please, Paula.
Dr. Unsicker Fisera,
Yes.
Dr. Zimmerman,
Yes.
Mrs. Rouse,
Yes.
Mrs. Clark,
Yes.
Mr. Fetzer,
Yes.
Mr. Heath,
Yes.
Dr. Jablonski.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, we'll move into the board information under new business. The first item is the Cali Elementary Title I Parent and Family Engagement Policy.
Okay, just a brief explanation. We have a board policy for Title I parent and family engagement. As a result of our last audit, it is required for us to also have a parallel or companion statement specific to the building level where the Title I services are offered. So what you have that you have had opportunity to review, if you were to lay it side beside the policy, they are very much the one and the same since we provide our title services in just one building. But this, bringing it forward for your information and the board minutes reflecting that it has indeed been shared allows me to submit that to the state in satisfaction of our obligation with title services. The print version of it will then be placed in the Cali Elementary handbook, available for parents to see that indeed we have these services as outlined. So it's an information item.
Any questions? Thank you, Kathy.
Yep, thank you.
The next item is the board president's report. We just heard from the Green Dragon Foundation. I just want to take an extra minute. This past Thursday, as you heard Mr. Callan say, they had the donor recognition reception. I know some of the board members were there and I had the opportunity to go. It was just a really awesome opportunity to interact with some of the donors, other board members. There was a former graduate who traveled back from State College to share his experiences and some of the ways that Green Dragon Foundation gifts helped him. And also, even though he's not here and can't take advantage of some of the future projects, is a strong advocate of some of the projects going on. So just a really awesome opportunity. And I just wanted to personally take the time on behalf of the board. Again, I know Ann and Bob left now, but just to say thank you to the Green Dragon Foundation. All the committee meetings, all the board meetings that they have. There's a lot of people, volunteers and board members who spend a lot of time for that. And to receive, the amount of money that we get from them is pretty awesome. So I would just like to give a little shout out to them, everybody who's involved with the Green Dragon Foundation. Again, it was great to see that Sunday night. So that is my president's report. Mrs. Moser, I'll turn it over to you.
I do not have an additional one this evening. Thank you.
Any board liaison or committee reports?
We didn't need this one.
All right. We'll move on to the education committee report.
So we have the minutes from our education meeting on September 7th that are there. There are also hyperlinks to the different PowerPoints presented. Three main topics. We presented the preliminary PSSA results, as well as Ms. Moser explaining the process that we would do or use to review grades 6 through 12 math resources and curriculum alignment, and also K-12 science curriculum alignment that would involve the addition of STEM as well as the next generation science standards.
We'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that anybody would like to have removed and voted upon separately?
Oh, sorry, the volunteers. Section of the personnel report.
Do you want that voted upon separately or are you abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
Okay. So we'll vote on it all at once with an abstention. So any other items? All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the revised personnel report?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Browse, seconded by Dr. Jablonski. Any discussion? Paula, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Zimmerman?
Yes.
Mrs. Krause?
Yes.
Mrs. Clark?
Yes, with the
Mr.
exception
Fetzer?
of the minutes. I wasn't here at the last one.
Yes.
Mrs. Clark, Mr. Fetzer, Mr. Heath?
Yes.
Dr. Jablonski?
Yes.
Dr. Unseco Sarah?
Yes, with the exception of the personnel report.
Motion carried.
And lastly, closing. Ms. Stan's not here for me to pick on her to start. Virginia, I'll start with you.
That's never happened before. I just wanted to say a couple of things. I'll just echo some of what Mr. Fetzer said. I also was able to attend the Green Dragon Foundation event on Sunday, and obviously I'm really appreciative of what the Green Dragon Foundation does for the district. And it was great to have that chance to celebrate with them. It was also just really lovely to be with people who care so much about the district, right, and have given up their time and their talents to support what we all do. So that was really lovely. I also wanted to comment on is it just say hello or start with hello? I'm always looking for the empathy that's baked into the curriculum, and I'm really happy to hear about that. I think, we live in a time where it's great to focus on empathy a little bit, and it's nice to know that that's happening. I think it's something we do pretty well in this district across all the levels, but it's nice to know that there's some really focused work happening in that area. And then finally, I never, ever thought we would actually be able to do anything with the HVAC system, and I'm so delighted to have been able to vote for that tonight. So thanks to everyone who made that happen.
It's nice to be able to see the school year progressing, to hear about the middle school dance. I just think that's fantastic that you were able to do that. Homecoming's right around the corner. I think that's really exciting. The Dragon Dash, I love to hear about that every year. So it's just nice and refreshing to hear the school year moving along. And I echo the sentiment for the Green Dragon Foundation. I don't think we'd be able to do half of the things that we can do in our district without their support. So it's great that we have that ability.
Kudos to the merit winner and the golfers. Like I've said this many times, I'm just amazed at what we have to offer our students with just a small district as we are. And I can't say enough either about Green Dragon Foundation and the Alumni Association. They both do a lot for our students in our district. And I've been on the board a long time, and we've been talking about air conditioning since way back when, but it was always a high ticket item, as you all well know. We're spending a lot of money here on this, and I did have a concern. I was going to address it, but I'll address it now because I am in favor of it. But we've got some old buildings, and I'm not sure what we're looking at down the future when I'm no longer on the board with getting maybe possibly new schools and sinking that money into these old buildings. But the summers are just coming much earlier than what they have been when we were all in school. So it's money well spent, but I just got to be concerned about it to some degree. Thank you.
It's not, I wrote down a lot of stuff as you guys talked, which always makes me kind of reflect before the next board meeting, because it also keeps me informed, which is put things on my calendar like Lynntown's open house and book fair and those kind of things. But it's nice to see normal again, or somewhat normal. And it's nice to hear about, I'm so excited to hear about the middle school dance, because as much as those aren't dances, a lot of times it's fun to then get to see kids when they come in to see me in my profession and get to ask about the dance, and they just light up, so it's nice to see some normalcy. And I don't know even that the kids know how nice that is, but it's nice from my standpoint as a parent. It's nice from my standpoint as a board member. And no, I haven't been on the board as long as Mary, but some of the things that encouraged me to start to seek out a spot on the board was facilities. So two of the things that I never thought I'd actually see to fruition was a high school that I'm sitting in, and now air conditioning. So super excited, really excited, because someone had just asked me, so it looks like the middle school is going to get air conditioning, but what about the other schools? And I was like, maybe the next year. And so now to be like, surprise, it's going to all happen in one shot, which is awesome. I agree with Mary. It's a little bit scary to pour this amount of money into older buildings. So to the community, we know that there's still facility stuff that we need to work on and concentrate on and focus on. But having this and fixing the building envelopes, huge. So hopefully these buildings can withstand a little bit more time, and we can focus on the teaching and education and the learning that needs to be focused on. So all good things, super excited. Dragon Dash, wow. I was also on PSA when that first started, from selling stuff to just raising money, which is awesome. I've had other districts ask me, how'd you do that? We're sick of selling stuff. And I try to direct them to certain people that know way more about it than I do. But I remember the first time when we made, I think, $15,000 or raised $15,000, how shocked we were. $38,000, that's off the chart. And the Green Dragon Foundation, I didn't get to go Sunday, which I was really bummed. But again, I think other districts are very envious of
Mhm.
what we have going in Lewisburg. And I truly think as parents and community members, it's always easy to get mad or get frustrated with the things that aren't going right. But I really think we need to embrace the things that are going or that aren't going right, but embrace the things that are and keep supporting those passions and those people that are really trying to make great things happen here. So I'll be quiet now.
Mrs. Moser?
I'll take a minute and thank our high school cafeteria, Mrs. Amanda Forster, who did an awesome job tonight with
Oh,
the
yeah.
refreshments that we were able to enjoy with greeting our new teacher and, spending a little time outside, appreciating how nice the patio area is outside the high school. And I'm sure Mrs. Paula Young to my left had a little bit of help to make that also nice and attractive as well, because that's her style for sure. So thank you very much. And I would echo Green Dragon Foundation always for the generosity and the support of the schools. And a piece of their funding that isn't maybe as publicly always shared, like the monies raised for new facilities. But there is this wonderful Lifting Up Lewisburg piece of Green Dragon Foundation. And throughout our schools, our counselors and teachers who become aware of needs that our students and their families have. It's wonderful to have that support in place as well. And we obviously benefit greatly from that. Thank you.
John?
Yep, I echo what's been said. Thank you to the Green Dragon Foundation, and also thank you to Wise Markets for their generous support of public education here in Lewisburg. So thank you.
Erin?
Yeah, I'm also excited to hear about the National Merit Scholars, that we have 3 of them. That's excellent. I always say I'm so pleased when I hear about the middle school and everyone has the school-wide positive attitude, and it's so good. And you said that Mrs. Tidy is going to offer something before school. You start at 7:20. I cannot believe the kids will go in and sing. That's amazing. That's a testament to the school culture, but also Mrs. Tidy just being that awesome. The Dragon Dash raised a ton of money, and the PSA has been doing so much. And I think it's always good to recognize that. Thank you for telling me when the open house was. I put it in my calendar while we were here. The Green Dragon Foundation event was great. Also, Ted Strasser was acknowledged, and he did a ton of work as an architect. The rendering that they took with them, and some other stuff with the baseball field. And there's a couple of things, the sentiments that have been shared tonight. There are so many people that will keep working on something even after themselves or their children can no longer benefit from it. It's a project that they just wanted to see to completion, and they're so happy when it comes about, even if their kids are out of that school or graduated or whatever. And so they're still committed to Lewisburg. I think that's really unique. I want to say thank you to all the parent volunteers that are still going in and helping out with all the lunches and all the, with the sub shortage and everything, just being there as help in the buildings, because we know folks that are there 5 days a week for 3 hours a day.
Aaron, just want to let the board know, Eric Chicatano from the Daily Item came in last week and actually met with several of the volunteers, and he's doing a story that I think is going to be the focal piece in Sunday's newspaper. So if you want to check that out, it's going to give, overdue thanks to all of our volunteers.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Aaron. Corey? I don't believe Jen?
Want to share that in a lot of respects, it's a normal school year, except for masks. I think I've been saying that for a long time, but it really is now a normal school year. And we can't underscore what Ms. Reber shared about just some of the needs of our students. And we're really paying attention to their social emotional wellness, their mental health needs. This has been a difficult week for many of our staff and our students. And one of the first things that our administrators thought of was watching out for and supporting those students, because you don't know in which ways people are going to react to such difficult circumstances. And I think, unfortunately, that's going to be something that we're going to have to do all year, but we also want to make sure we continue to celebrate all the positive events and activities that make school a great experience for kids and make sure that they're still engaging in those things. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes and a lot of effort, and all of the principals are juggling. I don't even know how many balls. It was probably, while we didn't like COVID last year, it's kind of nice to just not be doing this all the time, but it's right, it's really right back to that. So I want to thank them for all of their efforts. We are talking a lot about program and curriculum and change, and that's been very refreshing. And I'm very happy to work with Ms. Moser and all of our administrators and teachers on those efforts. Can never thank Green Dragon Foundation enough for all that they do to help support the school district. And, you know, if there's a silver lining to COVID, it has to be the fact that we're moving towards HVAC. The ESSER funding, which had very limited uses, but can go towards ventilation and improving ventilation. It's an excellent use of those funds, as well as just really the state of our economy and very low interest rates right now. So it's really a constellation of things that have come together to allow this to happen. I know it's been something that we've talked about, and we're optimistic, and I'm going to knock on whatever kind of wood this is, that day one of school next year we'll have the air conditioning.
Two people today came into my store and said, I can't believe, I don't know how you survived the past year and a half on the school board. And I think we've all thought that the past year and a half, not just us board members. I'm sure all faculty and staff have maybe had that trickle in. But hearing some stories tonight, seeing on Sunday, the student who came back and having Ms. Reber share the stories of the recent graduates, it's just a great reminder that that's why we're here. Just a lot of really awesome stuff going on, even hearing from graduates that have graduated a year ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, still sharing stories and accolades of what their experiences were here in the district. So, tonight was definitely great to hear all of those. And it, again, just a reminder of why we're all sitting here. And I don't think it's been easy for, for any of us or for the faculty and staff, for the students, for the community. But again, just to hear some of these things really is just very heartwarming to hear what's going on and the impacts that we're having. So just wanted to end the comments on that note. With that, we'll move on to citizens' comments to the board on non. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll move on to citizen comments to the board on non-agenda items. Don, any from online?
We'll take a look here. Nope, nothing online.
Anybody from here in the room? All right, we'll move on to adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Moved by Mrs. Brow, seconded by Mrs. Clark. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried, meeting adjourned.